Alright, Mr. Squarebag, how's it going? Let me close out my stream queue was being weird. Good, good. So we're gonna start off the stream with a demo of what I've been working on. Just move the camera up a little bit. You ready to see something interesting, Squarepeg? Not this. This is something totally different. And I can't get the shader to work, but oh well. I'll get it working. It works in compatibility mode, but I need to get it to work with Forward Plus. But it's going to be a water shader that I'm working on. Which kind of works like a... The idea is it's like yeah, so it's like a wandering clip map, but the idea is that as we're moving along the planet surface, it'll automatically kind of align itself, which is great for like a single player client, but it's kind of being weird right now. The scale of things is terrible, but I'll get it figured out anyway. Because I just want to move a single plane, like along the horizon around the player. Right? Because it's just graphically, there's no, you know, like everyone's only seeing their own version of their own universe anyway, and everyone else around them, so. But anyway, that's something totally different. You watch now, this will break. Alright, I'm going to... Hey, Squink, I wonder is Pagan around? I want to show off this. Let me see. Alright, well, Pagan's not around, so I'm just gonna... We're gonna go do it. Keep it up. Follow the slow slate. Hey, Lopez. Watch this. We're gonna do something cool today. Okay. No, we're not. What are we doing? Where is World Piano? I'm redoing. Oh, here, one of those. There we go. There's a couple of error namespaces. I was going through cleaning everything up. That whole make something platosphere makes my brain melt. Oh, it'll make sense. We're playing clean up the Git repo. Alright, here we go, chat. Get ready for it. So just to prove that a spawner is working correctly, watch this. We're gonna host. Okay. And let the NPCs walk away, do their thing. I'm gonna observe, you know, that we're at the trade console. I'm gonna buy 3 things of gas. The 3 things of gas have spawned in. Here's my universe on the server as it is right now. I'm now gonna join as Revere. I'm just gonna pick a random color. Revere is now joined in. Right, there's the server. We're all good. I mean, we've seen all this before. So you notice all the cargo grids are synchronized. I can't touch them, but they're physicalized. Right, I can move around. Right, everything's fine. Watch this. I'm going to come back and I'm going to observe. So here is the cargo that I spawned in. I can now interact with that cargo. The cargo is now fully physicalized. I can resort the cargo grid in real time. And right, it's all good. Let's take it a little bit further. So let's do this. So I know they're floating. That's totally fine. I don't have the cargo grids right now. You know, check the volume underneath itself. Using multiplayer spawning mode. Yeah, check it out. So I'm gonna jump up. You can see all the physicalization works, right? But watch this. I'm not gonna let it go. I'm gonna leave it right there. Fully physicalized. Watch this. Okay. And hang on. Let me put it away. Watch. Checking authority. Now that it's been released, I can push it around fine. The server character with authority. Push it around fine. And I'm just going to... oh, I gotta fix that bug. Why does it do that when I'm... The free look is being really weird. You're supposed to be able to hold Z, and oh yeah, it's like some ship UI thing is being triggered, which it's not supposed to. It's like the focus messes it up. Anyway, let's take this, put it back. But the great thing is, it's all working in multiplayer, right? So you know, if I were to take, you know, spawn in my ship now, you know what I mean? And then we go take some of this cargo, right? You can literally see, you know, the player. You know what I mean? I gotta get the tracker beam stuff actually working on multiplayer, like the status. There's a lot more state, right? That needs to be synchronized, but this week, I want to get cargo working. Right, so that's going to be like my thing that I would like to do now. Like I want to start getting the rest of the systems now working with multiplayer, including cargo. We're going to start. So bad I would have rated you. I got hit. I think I hit hit all the goals. Find it tomorrow. Yeah. It's all good. If you guys aren't following Omen Nerds, you should give them a follow. Oh, exciting. But anyway, that's where we are with it. We don't have a lot of the RPCs finished yet. So what I'm working on now is the weapons, right? So weapons have always been just authoritative of the owner. So if I come over here and I see like that occurring, like that didn't occur to the other player, right? Because the you know, this is still client side, like this component. Yeah, look, it's doing it again. Like the full IK system pivot is not. It's like it stops moving the player. It's as if the free look is being toggled and not turning off. Because when you hold Z, you're supposed to be able to freely look around, and you let it go, and it snaps you to forward, and it's not doing that. Which is really weird. Yeah, because Z's not even doing anything. It's not tab. It's supposed to be this, and it's not that. Yeah, because Z is toggling the UI. It's not actually doing. Oh, it's fighting with both. Getting in the ship messed it up. I know what it's doing now. Gotcha. So like the free look. Right. Okay, I understand what's happening. But anyway, let me demonstrate. So I took this off my own ship, which I had authority to do, but you don't see this happening, right? And the snapping or anything is not valid, right? Like there's full distinct between taking a component and putting it on the ship. And if I were to try to do that on the other client who does not have authority, it would desocket it and let it go, but see how like choppy it is? It is something that's not supposed to have authority over. And if I were to get in the ship, oh, it would fly off with it, right? It should still technically be attached, floating here somewhere. So what I've started working on today is ship components and getting the ship components working exactly like the cargo. So getting the ship component grid, actually spawning in cargo and removing a lot of the oh things. It's the same title, so I really need to like amp up the variation of things. But that's what I want to give you guys on the Patreon this this weekend, is to get this cargo working. And it still doesn't work completely. Still, the server is still having to spawn them in right now, and you know there's got to be a bunch more authority checks. But it's you know you can see it, right? It is working as intended, and the tractor being the player raycast needs to kind of be changed so that when we interact and we pull like an I interactable interact, then we tell the server, hey, RPC1, we would like authority over this game object. It can check and see, you know, if the server had authority prior or if it was another player that had authority. And then if it was another player that has authority, then it won't do it. But if it, you know, if it's not a player, if it is like an empty ship or a spawn ship or one that no longer has like a pilot, you know, it's just left in the world, it'll be snapped off. And you know, same thing with stuff that spawn in, like things will spawn in with the authority of whomever ordered it, and then they should be able to take it and bring it over to their ship and snap it on. But I need to change even how the weapons kind of work, because normally weapons are ship weapons, like that's their class. Their class is a ship weapon, and you know they're put on there. But I realized for item components, they don't really need to be a unique class because they're going to have an ID on them anyway, and that ID is going to look up and know like what resource, you know, that thing really is. And because they're all in the world and they're just rigid bodies, right, like a selectable item or a, you know, an item component or whatever we call this base form, in this form it doesn't really need to be the weapon, right? It's the synchronized multiplayer version, right? It is just what I call a, you know, an item component. It doesn't have to be an actual ship weapon. And then the idea being is item components have network synchronizers on them because, you know, everything in the game that's in loose form can be like an item, a component item, right? Because it's all, you know, ship components or item components, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same thing, right? They're a rigid body with a multiplayer synchronizer, but they do have an ID, and that ID does reference, you know, an asset library where the actual resource lies for them. So the idea being is we changed, you know, instead of like having real ship weapons in the world, we have these items which have an ID on them, and these are all being synchronized with position rotation. But we don't want them synchronized once they're attached to the ship. That makes no sense, right? So the idea being is when we get to the snap point and it makes the recommendation, the attachment process, instead of the attachment process being a reparenting of the item, the attachment process is a despawning of the component item and a spawning of the real ship weapon, right? And this happens immediately once it snaps in place. That way, as far as the players are concerned, the entire ship itself has a kind of its own inventory, and it has like a hash. And if your own client version of what that ship hash is any different, then it'll kind of rebuild the ship as far as how it looks, so all the items and all the parts and everything. So it kind of, a ship can instantiate and then load a configuration either from the server or from some profile, and it'll load in all those items on that client, or in this case on all clients. We don't need to have them be their own individual network entities. They are just a subcomponent of the ship. So it makes it a lot easier, once like an item becomes attached to the ship, it's not a thing that needs to exist in the world anymore. Obviously it needs to be there so you can see it, but it could be more of its single player form, and that'll make it a lot easier having multiple items in the world, and you can share a lot of data as far as like which things are interactable, and the port limitations when we attach stuff can all be done on the snapping. You can look up that item, see what it is, what the real item is based on the ID, and it'll do the correct, like, oh, I can spawn or I can't spawn, and then the ship will kind of reconfigure itself. And that'll make it a lot easier because the ships already spawn with all of their items aboard, and those items work great. It's just those items are not network objects. We're keeping the ship exactly as the ship is right now, which works, right? All the items spawn. It's just instead of when we go to detach them, when we go to detach them now, we're going to despawn them, and we're going to spawn in on all clients, that the actual network version. And then you'll see the player tractoring it, moving it off. And because it's been detached, it's a server authoritative game object that the player has authority to move, and they can fight over it and take it and bring it to your own item port and stick it in the item port, and then ta-da, like it's physically attached to your ship. It's turned into its physical item form. He's like, I don't have authority over this thing, so I can't move it. Like, I don't own the cargo box, so nothing I do is going to hey, Dovahkiin, is going to actually steal the cargo. I can attempt to like snap it, but I don't own it. I don't have authority, right? So same here, right? I don't have authority, so I can't actually like mess with it. It is not my cargo. It wasn't spawned for me. But for the for our friend here who does own it, right? Because it is their cargo, they can just come and grab it. Yeah, give that a go. See, you see me right here, Tony? You see me right here? The face. If I change my thingamabobber here, I'll do it on the other one. So if you have OBS set up and you install that SDK, when you add a like a video source, right? So like video, whatever. I don't have another webcam, but I'm just gonna add this. Right. So when you add like another video source, and you go into like filters, it will bring in the NVIDIA video effects and the NVIDIA audio effects. That one that I gave you was the NVIDIA video effects. So you could do NVIDIA background removal and NVIDIA blur. These are all the NVIDIA ones. And on the NVIDIA background one, this is the one that I'm using right here, right now. Works with Streamlabs. It'll work with OBS, like with OBS in general. And the second you add, you install that SDK, it'll pick it up, right? And Streamlabs is just, you know, built on top of OBS, right? So it'll have it. Before, you had to install NVIDIA Broadcast. You don't need to do that anymore. And then you can also, once you install the audio effects, as an example, like if I add a random audio input capture, I'll just pick something that's not real. You can go into this as well, go to filters, and because you've installed the other one, you can add NVIDIA audio effects, and you can remove all the noise. Are character entries like bleeding and seeing the blood drip a programmed effect? Uh-oh, I just crashed OBS. Messing with that. So you're seeing a locked up version of OBS right now, so let me fix it. Well, normally, yeah, you don't need, you can actually just go right now. Let me just bring this down, look up X4 stuff. So look up watch NVIDIA SDK, and this will bring you to so depending on which graphics card you have. Oh, hang on, still crashed. 1 second. No, just run normally. I'm gonna have to turn off those. Let me just delete those. All right, so you just get the one for the 3000 series. So because I have OBS running on my gaming PC with a protocol called Teleport, and Teleport is what's bringing my my video over to the streaming PC right now, because NDI is not working on Linux. So I don't know why NDI is being a pain in the bum. Eventually I'm just going to get a capture card that can do 4K and put the capture card in the streaming PC, but I'm just using software. I have a 7900. I don't really, Tugboat is not really using much of, it's using up a little bit, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's like 6% of like one core. It's using a lot of like memory, megabits, because it's streaming it pretty much without a lot of compression. But I mean, like that's not going to hurt me. And it's using just GPU encode. So anyway, but Tony, go to this page, get the 3000 one, download the audio effects and the video effects, these two, and install them. Yeah, so streaming on my streaming PC, but I'm feeding it to the streaming PC on the gaming PC. Anyway, because the background removal is good. Like, you know what I mean? Like just click the same link in right. Like if I turn it off, let me just go in here. You can see. Let me go to my effects. Filters, right? So let me just turn it off, right? So, right, mess. Look at how good that is, right? Like, it's anyway, it just makes it a lot easier. It has a bunch. Yeah. So yeah, that link that I sent you. Look in your Discord. Look in right here. I literally have it sent to you. Right here. That's the one, the video effects one, right there. And these are the other ones. Oh my god, yeah, it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be like a pure green screen. But I mean, I find it way better than having to deal all that setup. You know what I mean? And our lighting here is crap, and it does an alright job. No, just install it, and then you should be able to go in and add that effect, NVIDIA background removal, to in your OBS or slobs. So our goal today, we're gonna use some Jibbity, and some NVIDIA networking documentation to let's get the cargo spotting. But what I need to do now is when we go in to each of the resources for like everything, like a warp drive, right? So we'll have a warp drive, right? Here's the prefab, here's the configuration for the warp drive, and you know, here's the actual warp drive real item, and we want to make a variation of the warp drive. We want to save it. It's going to be the same model for the most part as the warp drive gray box item. And then on this one, it can still be a ship component for the most part. We just want to have another variation of it. I'm going to turn it into an iSelectable, but it's not like, as long as we're inheriting from rigid body, it's all that really matters anyway. So this will be the itemization version. So this version is going to have our network. So add our synchronizer, and for all of this, it's going to be just a base item. Rotation and position, nothing scale, because nothing should be changing scale. Come on, click it. Oh. I'm actually getting like a ton of errors for some reason right now. Oh, really? It's just erroring out because there's already properties in it now? Anyway, position reduction, we go. And we'll just kill all this. Alright, so this will be our warp drive item. And for the most part, so then for this, let's rename this to warp drive gray box. Hey, thanks for the gifted sub. Yeah, so we have our item, we have our model, we have the original gray box. And then on the item, we can kind of rip off anything, you know, well, it's just a model right now. Biker girl is Rosalind. Oh, cool. And then in the resource itself for the warp drive, so we have our prefab. And then for our item, I know it's on purpose. I hope she finds. I hope she watches somehow. There we go. So now we have our prefab for the real model, like the real item that's going to be connected. And then the itemization version. The item is going to be the one that's just kind of in the scene, synchronized. And then for all the items in the cargo area, which is going to be responsible for spawning these in the spawner, we need to add it to the auto spawn list. Now, in the future, oh, that's for regular cargo. Hang on. We need for the component area. So it's a cargo area for a component area. In the multiplayer spawner, we want to add the rest of our components. We've already added just the mining laser and the tri-laser. I'm going to move the tri-laser up first. I keep losing my sound and troubleshooting, hearing some from my office. It's like your headset keeps shutting out. I almost had her thinking about streaming from her Switch. Oh yeah, she should do an Animal Crossing stream. It'd be so funny. Yeah, so we want to get the tri-laser, because I like here about right now is players can spawn in their own ships. and they can swap out the weapons. Everything else, like the warp drive and everything else under like the weapons prefabs, are not that important or not as important. Alright, so we want to grab the item version. What about the white warp drive in the ship? Ship components. Oh, they're in their own folders. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so we'll do the warp drive. For future, I would like to do the comm system as well, actually. Even though, so I think I have a comm system gray box model. We're not actually this is probably the most detailed model I've actually added to the gray box, so I don't plan to keep it like that way. How's it going, Uniform? So this will be the comm system. I'm going to rename this the comm system gray box. Let's rename this to model. Let's move this into the comm system. Worked on my room in the RV. Now you're ready for a nap. Nice. If you could like double click and jump to something, that would be like super cool. Because there was something weird with the comm system and its orientation. I don't remember what it was. I think like Z, it's like not looking the right direction or something. But I'll be right back and use the washroom. Hey, how's it going? How do you pronounce your name? Is it the Elephant or Ilian? We're working on a space game. It's called Unforgiven Space. It's kind of like a live or a light version of Star Citizen, we call it that. I will show you the kind of the gist. What you're looking at here is a lot of gray box. So I'm going to just host a little session here. So in this test demo, we have 100 NPCs kind of moving around the station. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of spawn in some cargo boxes. Right, so I got some cargo boxes spawned in. I'm going to join in here with a second character late. Right, so here we have like a second character. If I kind of come back and see like character is all synchronized, all working. Right, they have a multi-tool, tractor beam, right, weapons, little kind of their own little version of mobiGlas. It all works fine. So I just want to kind of demonstrate. So as the second player, I can't, these are not my cargo because I didn't spawn them. If I jump up here, you can kind of see if I go back in my main character, right, we can actually kind of reorganize this live. And you know, it all works. I can even kind of, you know, all the physicalization. Thanks for your help, guys. I know there's a bunch of people here to help me. Rav, your game's progressing really well. Yeah, thanks. And the idea, I'm gonna just come over here real quick. All right, so here is my my server player. Oh yeah. Right. So let me I'll just come over here. I'm gonna spawn in my ship. Hang on a second. Ignore, I didn't mean to spawn it in like there. Okay, so right, so here is my own ship. I'm going to head to the front of it, and I'm going to observe as the server. Okay, so this is my ship. I have authority, so I should be able to move it. If I jump in, right, you can see all of my interactions with the interactables are working. All animations are fully synchronized. When I jump into the seat and turn on all the weapon systems, if we move over to the side here and we look at the weapons, you can see all the weapon systems are fully synchronized. Right, I can, you know, take off, and I'll just we're gonna head over to this planet real quick. Just let's get going here. And I'm just gonna land and wait there for the other player. But you kind of get the idea, right? You're buying cargo, you're selling it, you're pirating people, you're in a full, you know, 64-bit world. Right? You can spawn in items, decorate your own kind of habitation module. You know, you can take off all the components of your ship. I totally broke it because we're doing that right now. We're refactoring how components are physicalized with multiplayer. A lot of this stuff is like fully working in a single player fashion because we want to like test the mechanics and make sure they actually work in single player, and you know what I mean. Think of it more like 2012 Star Citizen, like the original pitch, right? We have landing locations. We're not going to go heavy into proc gen, right? The first 4 planets that I'm going to be releasing are a water planet, a sand planet, a ice planet, a gas giant, and a moon. You know, there'll be smaller moons, but the goal is like Starfield has really kind of proven that you know, like procedural generation can kind of suck. You know, they're not necessarily like that great. So we're going to focus more on like good lore, and world building, in, you know, level design, and trying to focus on gameplay mechanics. Like there's only ever going to be like 7 ship variations right now in Unforgiven space that are fully customizable. Right, just going to be mining ships, bit of salvage. The goal is to be able to quickly. The best way I can describe it is if you really like Sea of Thieves, because I don't like necessarily comparing it to Star Citizen, even though we play like Star Citizen. Think about Sea of Thieves, right? And you're doing Merchant Alliance quests, and think about the time scale of Sea of Thieves, right? How long it takes you to jump in with a few people in a ship and move around from place to place. That's how long I want traversal to be in a star system, like not extremely long, like enough to kind of like, you know, allow someone to escape. And now take that and apply it to space and think more like Cowboy Bebop. You know what I mean? Where there's some, where the lore and the world building is very similar, right? We're late 70s, early 80s. All the components are like physicalized. We have holograms for like, targeting. If I actually target, I'll have to go into the main build so I can actually like show you some of the stuff actually working. But like, the idea is that like the holo projector shows like kind of the hologram of the map and whatever you're kind of targeting, so you can kind of see, what subcargo exists. But for a lot of other stuff, it's very much like an Apache, as far as like two-tone phosphorus screens, right? The hacking gameplay is very kind of basic. It's meant to kind of be, that kind of 80s old school kind of cool. That's the idea, right? To create an environment where you can jump in after work, jump in your ship, there's still a lot of reputation to gain. Like the idea is no systems are, when you start the game, you're just in a random star system. As you explore the star system, stations and areas and the comlink network and everything kind of expands to you. And the gameplay kind of expands to you in the same way if you were like a space trucker, right? Like you start off, only being able to do basic, delivery missions, basic contracts, basic delivery missions for like passenger missions and things like that. And from there, as you're gaining reputation with the different factions, different like space weed and bootleg liquor and like all these kind of different, unique things kind of slowly open up to you. And the goal is to try to eventually come up with, a good 100 hours of live content that you can kind of, jump in and kind of play with and have fun with. And yeah, it's just me, infrastructure is pretty much regional instant servers. Every jump gate is more like a lobby manager. You go to the jump gate, it checks, hey, is there a server running this instance of the next star system over? If there's not, it'll spin one up. If there is there one with my friends on it? And then going to the jump gate is just going from server to server, right? There's no reason why we can't have a server with, 25 to 50 people, that's small and regional, that'll kind of do the job. Space games are very empty. And and just like have a very simplified scope, and a lot of things. If you follow the project, there's a lot of stuff that's already kind of working. It's just getting a lot of it, together now, and Art's going to need a lot of polish, to kind of get to a final form. But all I'm really caring about, with the project right now is that we push, builds. Let me bring down another chat. So what I've been doing is just funding it on Patreon, and I just very transparent, like, I'm working with $126 right now. Every single month I just put money into some consulting. So I got someone working on a really cool, like this month's Patreon went towards a new shader for Planet Tech, and it's a dynamic shader that'll work kind of like a floating click map. I don't know if you've seen, but it's a floating click map for water, right? So when we go down on a water planet, that plane of water that's around you kind of follows you around, but it takes in, a generalized 3D noise. So depending on your position on the surface of the planet, like that floating clip map's always going to be the same at that position, right? And then we add time into the mix for waves, and that time value will come from the server. So that'll be like a uniform fed into the shader, which should be like a value of time synchronized from the server tick rate. So that way even waves and stuff would look the same for each of the players. Because, it's just a water planet, like that plane, that it's just a distance check, right? And I'm not going to let you go into the water so deeply, right? It'll be a bit of a sponge, but then like, you're at maximum distance. So, we can actually kind of create a nice water planet and just use some different variation of WODs. So it looks like water planet, like a predefined texture. As you're getting closer, you blend into that kind of floating clip map, which will have different kind of WODs, and then you're on a water planet. And it's just to knock it out, right? Knock it out. So that's the idea. We have $5 gives you access to the builds. So you reserve your name, you get access to the builds. This is what I would ask of you more than even subscribing to the channel or subscribing to either, just like this is the best way to support the project. $10 and you get your own little habitation module that you can customize. It's like your own little home away from home. That's like the spiel. It's being redone because we switched everything over from Unity. But so that's the marketing. And my hope is that if I do what I do, which right now, like, if you look at the home, like this is me pushing builds live, right? Every just keep pushing builds, right? So every few weeks, we just push a build, as long as players can see the progress, right? As long as all of that is transparent, I think ultimately the game will build itself. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I'll run into anything show-stopping, right? I think art's going to take a long time. I'm not going to, that's definitely going to be a given. But I can get all the systems live, right? I can get the ship AI, I can get the economy, I can get all these things online and working, so there's no questions. You know what I mean? Like people will know how long it's going to take to get the game finished, and they're going to know, like, that's going to be a bit of work. But we're not going to be like 10 years in and be like, oh no, there's going to be this random blocker that we're not going to be able to solve, because it doesn't. We don't ever get to that point. You know what I mean? Like we prove that everything works in advance. So even like on the economics side of things, there's I've kind of, we have here, as an example, 1,000 NPC ships, and they're all running pretty much as little GPU instances. And now every one of these are kind of hitting the nearest station, and they're all doing their own thing. Now, simultaneously, if I pause the simulation here, right, so we have a refinery station, and the refinery station has nothing right now. But as NPCs are kind of, finishing their jobs, new NPCs are being born. So let's take this hydrogen gas. We have some hydrogen gas here, that the gas giant's spawning. And you can actually see, like, all these NPCs will start slowly heading there. All the ones coming back, each one of them should be coming back, with hydrogen and bringing it to the refinery. Okay, so all the ones returning, they're taking that hydrogen gas, they're bringing it down here. And then, the hydrogen gas is actually slowly being converted into hydrogen fuel. And that dependencies are pretty much happening all over the universe. You can hear me in YouTube? Oh, cool. Right, so we have, like, ore being refined into refined ore. We have, our ice being refined into water. And then each one of these stations have their own contract system, their own needs. And those needs kind of need to be met. So you have this system where, we have pirates, and the pirates are going after NPCs. If they reach an NPC, like here's a red one, here's a pirate who just came from this pirate station, he'll take that NPC's cargo, and then it'll spawn a security ship. If the security ship reaches them, right, they'll actually, I have the simulation like running way too quick, and you slow it down. But you can see, like, the security guys are actually going after pirates. Whenever ships die, the little green guys are salvage ships, and they're going out and actually, like, cleaning them up and taking whatever whatever actual cargo that they had, and then also bringing it to their own local market, right? So you have this 1,000 NPC economic model that's running in real scale to the universe, that's continuously despawning and spawning NPCs and scaling itself depending on the needs of the station. And this thing is running maybe like 3 CPU, and will be running headless, right, an economic node, which will be handling like the background of that server that the players are on. And if we ever need to scale the economy because there's too many players or things are imbalanced, then we multiply, or or kind of like divide we scale the influence of the 1,000 NPCs. We don't need to create more or less, if that makes sense, right? So when you go and you see what contracts are available, oh, we need these these commodities, right? You're actually accepting contracts that are mixed in like with the pool of NPCs. Right, so the contracts are all based upon the dependencies. Right, so each station will have certain dependencies. They need so much food, they need so much water, they need so much hydrogen fuel, and then when those dependencies reach a certain point, it creates contracts. The contracts then get picked up by the NPCs that land at port, and because contracts are pre-allocated, you won't have weird situations where all these NPCs arrive at a station and they realize the station needs food. All hundreds of them go looking for food, but as they start coming back, like the demand has been met, but now there's like a lineup of like 200 NPCs dropping off food, and it would win surplus by having a true contract-oriented economy. Once the contracts are already given to the NPCs, that it knows eventually, right, the dependencies are going to be met. So it'll still expire those contracts after a certain period of time, so that if failure state can't occur or if success can't be occurred, then they'll just reset. But that's how it works, right? Like the NPCs are physically moving things around in three-dimensional space, so that way it's more realistic, right? It's a more true, realistic, stable economy. Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, that's how kind of like the background of things work. So everything in the game is based upon some economic system. That's like the idea. So even when you go even from jail to prison, things you do in prison are all based on things in the economy, right? If you're in prison and you're like welding space parts, or you're helping manufacture chip components on like an assembly line in prison, you're actually producing those things. Or the station is actually producing those things, right? So that's the idea of Unforgiven space, and you haven't even seen the non-Greybox version of the game, but I don't really think you really need to. That's kind of the idea. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. So what we are doing, gotta get in here and clear these errors from the raycast being trying to select something that's not. Hopping to hockey and Critical Role, try that. Oh yeah, so you should be good on YouTube. I don't know why your Twitch is being so weird. But that's the games, and yeah, so if you guys have any ideas or anything, just jump on the Discord. But yeah, so we'll do cargo. Component area, so we're trying to get this one actually working now. So we want it to spawn the item bridge. If we put a spawner on it, it should just work, but it won't work exactly the way that we want it to. So just spawning these in the middle of the component area is probably not a bad idea after they've been created. Ship spawned. Yeah, this was the old single player way of doing it. We're going to set up RPCs that's going to do that. There's a spawn ship component, a spawn item component. Because we're using the same system. How's it going, Heavy Bob? Heavy Bob, would you like to see the result of today's working on cargo. I can demo it real quick one time before I jump back into what I'm doing. Doing good. I'm slowly taking full control over SC. But if you take control over SC, then you'll be responsible for SC. Bob? Right, so here I am. I am in the world as my root player. I'm going to spawn in 3 things of gas. So it's here spawn in advance. I'm going to join as revere. You can see everything is now spawned in. That was spawned in advance. I don't have any control over the cargo. It is physicalized and all working. If I go back now, because I'm the one who spawned it in, to get my tractor beam, I can actually sort these. This is all now physically working. I can now push the player. I can, you know, reshuffle and organize the cargo grid. If I switch over to my player and jump up, you can see like this is actually working. And this is where it gets kind of interesting. Let me actually do something a little bit different. Let me actually take this one and not snap it. Let me actually just I'm just going to hover it right here. Okay, so it's just floating in space. And oh look, let me just jump over and look, it's physicalized. Totally physicalized. And I can actually like move it up, move it down. Right, I can jump back over. And you can just snap that back in place. And it doesn't seem like much. And I really need a jump animation. But it is all working. Now let's go a little bit further. Let's go and take this one and just loosely drop it right here. Alright, so there it is in the world. I can interact with it. Well, I'm a player. I'm going to interact with it too. My cargo box. Anyway, and that's what I have to show. But the cargo system is working in multiplayer now. So what I'm trying to get working today, Bob, is I want to get these ship components in, just weapons, because once ship weapons are in, that means that we have a gameplay loop of actually buying components and putting them on the ship, but buying components and putting them on the ship in multiplayer, which means players can test it. I mean, they can test it in single player build anyway, but right, because weapons right now, right, spawn in and they work, right? So I can clearly see the weapons are working, but the issue is that I can't take them off. Like if I decouple them, because they're synchronized through the ship. So you know, I can go and, you know, take off my own weapon here, right, and it works. But you can see, you know, no one's actually seeing that, right? It's just single player. So what I need to do is when I go to decouple it, when I go to do the on-attach, it'll actually remove the weapon component and convert it into an item component. And then the item component will be a entity which has the network synchronization on it. So in other words, when we detach, we're actually despawning it onto the ship and the ship's own configuration, and we're bringing it into the world as a separate game object. And then once it's in the world, it's an object that is authoritatively owned by just the server. So any person who grabs it with the tractor beam, right? It's round robin authority right now of whomever grabs it first, and if someone else goes to grab it, if it has an authority, it won't work. But if they let it go and someone else grabs it, they'll take authority. What I'll do in future, Bob, is I'll have the item components be full server authority, but they'll have a list of effectors. So a list of effectors would be like what players are trying to affect it, and then each player would be kind of like attaching a tractor beam, and we'll be kind of feeding it with a vector 3 that it wants to head towards with a force value, like whatever the force would be. And that way 2 players would attach their tractor beam to an item, and then as they're kind of pulling it or moving their mouse, right, the server will move it towards the normalization of those affected vector 3s, those affected directions it wants to be pushed at the affected force values. So then multiple players can very simply, you know, hook up the tractor beam and pull like an asteroid or something with more mass than their tractor beam would be able to have. And because it's server authoritative, I can just kind of like pass either ownership of that entity or authority of the entity, depending on like what it is we're trying to do. Probably don't need to. A round robin authority is probably good enough. Whoever tractor beams it has authority. Simple. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah, because you'll encounter like issues with like kind of these things. You're still gonna do a bit of interpolation. There's still like all these. But I just think just keep it simple. You know what I mean? Like but those are things we can do. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna get it working. Right? Get it working. And yeah, just create bigger beams. Exactly. Right, and then alternatively, like there's a few things on the NPC side. Like I made a really nice set of AI behaviors for enemy NPCs, and they're paused right now. But there's like a sound radius and there's a visual radius, right, for an NPC, which is dynamic and can be changed. And if you're kind of in that radius, they can hear your footsteps, and if they can see you, they can see you. And they do a much better job now trying to run and kind of track you down, and you have to kind of sneak by them. But right now the NPCs are only kind of working in a single player fashion, and they need a more like an aggro list of client IDs, of players from the multiplayer world, with a target being one of those, and the ability to kind of distract them. And I want in the game smuggling to be a thing, so the idea of having someone distract an NPC while someone else runs some drugs kind of by them, and vice versa, right? Then yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of anyway. That's what I've been working on. Like yesterday, I kind of sat down. I was like, "Hey, we really got to get this cargo stuff figured out this for this week," and then we'll because the idea is all of this. If I were to run another build, I should have did a compile on that. I got to get this raycast clearable to work on the overlay. There's still a bunch of stuff I need to fix with this, but we're getting there. We are going to kill tracking on SCO map. Kill tracking, what do you mean? We have something like 150 people contributing to that with more than like 15 different words. Kill tracking on SC automatic? What do you mean? What does that even mean? What does tracking mean in that context? If you kill a player in Star Citizen, we track the kill metrics. Yep, I knew about that. And we have a leaderboard. I knew about that too. Oh, thanks. So we were going to kill tracking on SC automatically. Oh, okay, you're just doing kill tracking. The people are fighting over control over the leaderboard. Really? Bob, you're creating content. You're giving people a reason to play Star Citizen. You're unintentionally creating your own sand in the sandbox to entertain people. You're actually becoming Star Citizen content. You're giving players a reason to play it. In January, over 16k people have died in the PvE. That's a surprisingly lot of players, Okay. Ship purchase panel. Panel. Yes, it is, and there's a good chance that the majority of the player base who are active are being killed by people using the tracker. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure players that just want to kill people are just going to kill anyone they see regardless. Purchasing can be single player. Majority of the kills are probably attributed to those people using tracker. I didn't really type that right. Yeah, so we have this spawn component, which tells the component area to spawn the component, and we want to convert this into an RPC. So we have here our ship component panel and our ship component area. That said, I didn't see it. Let's take a look. Yep, so over here we should have a ship component and we should be able to purchase a trial laser. So it's trying to spawn ship component ID, ship item spawn on the server. So it's saying it's spawned. Oh wait. There is one spawned. If you end up adding multiplayer and content, I think it will really explode. I don't know why you spend so much time unlocking NPCs. I didn't spend a lot of time unlocking NPCs though. Yeah, so is the area, but then why are they spawning over there? Are they spawning if they want? Just purchase. Oh no, they are spawning over there. Let me join late. No. So they should be here. Yeah, ship spawning cargo area 2. So there was an area over here. What is that? There is a component area over here. What is it for? Item component panel. Oh, because there's actually a store here for furniture. Right. Because I want to unify the item components and ship components for like one spawning system, because they're literally the same when they're in the world for the most part. So I was saying that they're going to spawn here, but this must be linked to the ROM there. Right, so this should be component area 2 that it's supposed to be spawning them in. And then for this component area 2, so in our spawning, file laser item, cargo item, and so what will we actually spawning in? We need the main. So this spawned ship item spawned on server. So say ship item 3. And this will be component.name. It's going on server because I want to see if it's actually an item. I need to know that it's actually trying. So we should be loading in the item prefab. And just to make sure, oh, not where I want it to go. Yeah, because if we can get all this customization working in multiplayer, right? It'd be gravy. Like getting all the parts actually working. So I wonder what happens when the root owner spawns while the player is on the server. Crap. Alright, so that's an item. Oh, right. Right, okay, I know why. Because we need to actually add it to the, yeah, we can't, we have to actually create this thing and add it to the component area. So that the spawner will synchronize it. Ooh, we have some ship components. And what I want to do, because we still gotta set up the RPC, but let's do a late join just to make sure the spawner works as intended. So let's, and then we gotta fix authority. But so let's join in, and we're gonna head over and actually go and spawn in a bunch of those tri-lasers. So we'll do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 on the server, and then I'm gonna join in late. And now they should fully be synchronized. And I shouldn't have authority over them though. So I can't move them. But authority is to the server right now. Because we need to set up the RPCs to pass authority. It'll be nice when we actually get the tractor beam working in multiplayer. Yeah, so we can actually kind of get this basic setup happening for the other item components. Yes, I should be able to push. No, maybe not. Maybe they're being disabled. I think item components completely disable themselves in their physical form. Yeah, they're not affected. Well, that's great. Yeah, that seems to be perfect. Yeah, see the when I'm clicking it, my version is seeing we're seeing that gun click because it's not the authority is not actually. Wait a second. Okay. So the mining laser should work as well now. Oh, right, but the adding. Oh no, true is set. I wonder why the naming is actually not. Some of these weren't synced. Graylocks team multiplayer synchronizer relative to root. Oh, that's from before, right? When we were adding them into the scene. Cool. So we need to next set up the RPCs. We need to really fix the tractor beam. The tractor beam asking switching authority is like the next thing, because that automatically takes care of all of the issues. When we go to hook onto the tractor beam, we run the RPC to be like, hey, can we request authority over this thing? And once authority is changed, we'll have no issue tractoring it and using it. Yeah, so the goal will be to kind of get rid of what we call item components and ship components and make them all be just item components. And whether they're a ship component or not, we base upon the ID, like just doing a lookup of the ID in the asset database. Let's try puppy. Raylup, I know you're still watching in the background, but have you tried the new Space Engineers 2 early access yet? Yeah, I'm just thinking of how I want to go about separating. How I want to start joining some of that in a standard class. Do I want to backlog the grenade system? I think I do. I'm just gonna put it back into the active sprint. The hangar system, pad spawning, push from Unforgiven systems. I thought ships automatically spawned in hangars. I thought that was done. Disable the ship body collider. Wind and mag area. What do you mean to complete that? Indeed. Right, fixing the raycast. Player raycast to ignore the ship's shell so we can swap out weapons while still colliding with it. Refactor, raycast, yeah, I think that whole class needs really done. And what were we gonna do with it? What was our plan? To do it manually or something like that? Performing 2D break class views. Oh yeah, okay. Because what I wanted to do is not necessarily use the original. I wanted to use the direct space state and actually do the raycast manually from the ray, like from a vector, because I wanted an array returned of grids of I want to see like what things we're colliding with and not just the first thing we're colliding with, so that we have a stackable kind of adept list, so that way I can do things like ignoring the shields but not necessarily when I'm banging into the ship, or I want to be able to hit this item port but it's like behind a collider that's being used for the player. Well, there's exceptions. Work fine for excluding the parent body because of conventional. If you need like a large or dynamic list of exceptions, in this case it's more efficient to use collision layer mask system. Yeah, we got supposed to use mastering physics-based adept of interactions. Yeah, I wonder what the cost of that would be though. If we're only doing it for ourselves, that doesn't really matter. For us, the player, if we use physics-based. UI path indicator for throw. And then bring in the asteroid system, which we really don't need right now. Would love to do common system integration. And because we're not doing the grenade, I'm just going to do the UI for the grenade. We'll look into the grenade system after 4.4 beta 2 after we're 4.4 live. Because we're gonna get the new IK stuff, and I think once we get the new IK stuff, I wonder where is there like beta to the documentation with a new look at modifier? Oh my god, I'm so excited for these new editions. Time-based interpolation of a look. Oh, that's so cool. Cool. Yeah, like a delay. Yeah, I get it so much better. Non-linear dampening works. Oh, cool. Ah. Alright guys, I think I'm gonna leave it there, I think, for tonight. And I'll do some more of this off stream. And just do a bit more refactoring. But at least I got, you know, we got the basics about the component systems and cargo systems. I'm gonna have to go and redo the raycast completely. That's what I'm gonna work on now. And if all goes well, tomorrow we'll have ship components and fully working cargo in multiplayer. And that'll be cool. That'll be something really fun to show off. And I'll be able to test the build with you guys, and you guys can jump in. So it'll be on the Discord when the build's ready. And well, either way, I'll do a build. So, you know, it's been a while, there's been a lot of updates. So we'll do a build. Yeah, it'd be cool if we can get the, I actually put the outpost in this build. No. We gotta put the outpost in. We gotta make this universe scene a little bit more full of stuff playing with. Alright, we're gonna get ready and end it here on YouTube. I'm gonna go raid someone. And I'm gonna keep working at this. And see if I can kind of get this working for tomorrow. And if you guys are interested, check out the project. You can join the Discord at unforgiven.com. Should automatically forward us to the Discord. Yep, and I'll see you guys after when I stop.